Hi, I'm Vicky. I'm a student minds volunteer at Southampton University. What motivated me to get involved with student minds was my personal experience supporting friends with eating disorders and other mental health conditions. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story and how it was for me supporting my friends. And I'll start right from the beginning. I've been going back through my diaries, so I should be able to give you the full picture. It was a very steep learning curve. That's the main thing my diaries highlighted. From 2008 to now, I've learnt a lot. It's been a long journey, but it's been a really positive one in the end, and I've made some of the best friendships out of it. So, back in 2008, I texted a friend during the summer holidays asking how her son was going, and she replied saying, "I'm in hospital with an ED." No idea what an ED was, had no idea really about mental health as a concept. So she clarified that it was an eating disorder, and that's when the research started. I spent hours and hours and hours on the internet reading everything I could to try and understand what was going on in my friend's life. I had never heard of it before, and it was a tough but very enlightening few days of reading. So I would really recommend that to anyone that's supporting anyone or worried about someone. Read all you can to try and understand and appreciate the condition. The more you can do that, the more you can empathise with your friend and try and support them in the best way possible. For me and my friend, it was really important that we tried to keep our friendship as normal and kind of normal teenagey as possible. So although she was in hospital, the best way to do that was by texting her. Text her every day, normal stuff, what was going on at school, I don't know, who was going out with who for prom, or the really kind of mundane stuff that was important at the time. When we met up, we tried to keep conversation as normal as possible, but she also knew that the door was always open. She could always talk to me about what was going on in her life. And for us, I found the more I didn't ask, didn't push, the more comfortable she felt knowing that she could talk to me, but that it wasn't redefining our friendship. I wasn't going to change how I saw her at all. So she was then discharged about 3 or 4 months later and continued her recovery at home while I stayed at school, obviously, in year 11. At this point, my best friend at school, she stopped eating and started self-harming in front of me, which was very distressing. My best friend was self-harming in front of me. It was kind of very emotional, and I didn't have a clue how to handle that, deal with that. So I did eventually talk to her after a lot of worrying and probably more internet reading. I spoke to her about why I was worried and what I thought maybe needed to happen, that she needed to talk to somebody, and that it wasn't healthy what I was seeing happen. She dismissed the fact that anything was wrong, so that was a massive setback, and the fact that she had dismissed the fact felt like I was overreacting. I'd lost my best friend. I didn't really talk to my parents about it, so I just internalised everything that was going on. And that is the most detrimental thing that you can do. Make sure you're getting support. It took me a long time to try and get support, and I actually only did because of a particularly worrying event. When I ended up going to speak to one of my teachers. The teacher was amazing. She highlighted to me the fact that I was supporting 2 friends with very complex needs and I wasn't getting support for myself and what was going on in my life. So the teacher encouraged me to talk to my friend's mum and tell her what was going on, which was very tough. It took a lot of psyching myself up for it. And again, it wasn't the best response I got, so I continued internalising. I felt like I must be making something up, nobody wants to listen. This is when I started to have problems sleeping and concentrating. I really started to struggle myself. One very emotional barbecue with all my work colleagues, I had a bit of an emotional breakdown, just an emotional evening, I guess. And that, although quite embarrassing, it was very, very positive in that I met one of the best supports that I had throughout the whole thing. So the friend of a friend who I became close to, she had suffered with mental health conditions herself, and she was able to give me some kind of insight into what it must be like for my friends at the time, which was really important and very helpful for me to try and understand what was going on. She helped me to separate the behaviour of my friends from my friend themselves. So, for instance, when my friend with the eating disorder was readmitted to hospital, I spent all week looking forward to going to visit her, and then I'd get there and the nurse would come and tell me that, sorry, Hannah doesn't want to see you. And that was it. So I walked out the hospital, floods of tears, didn't really know what to do, know where to turn. So I rang the woman I'd met at the barbecue, and she helped me to understand that it wasn't my friend talking. The eating disorder had consumed her at that point, and she couldn't handle the personal interactions. And that really, really helped me, because I kind of let go a little bit and started to think about other ways maybe that I could support her. So the letter started. We sent a lot of letters. We still send a lot of letters. It was a way that we could keep in contact. We could talk about the personal stuff as well as the everyday stuff without it being directly confronting or judgmental in any way at all. It was what was written on the paper, and you take that at face value, and there's no facial expressions, body language to read as well. And for my friend, I think she found that really, really good. So I know letters probably aren't for everyone, but for us they really worked, and they still really work. Although she's doing a lot better now, we still write letters all the time. So I would have termed myself the eternal people pleaser at that point in my life. My friend who was at school, my best friend, who was self-harming and not eating, she went to boarding school, and she cut all contact with me. And I was probably the pushiest friend ever, and it was probably horrible for her at the time. But I could not let go of the fact that my best friend didn't want to talk to me, so I would ring her all the time, text her, Facebook her, email her, anything I possibly could to try and get through to my best friend. It was a long time of stress and worry that I didn't know what was going on in her life at all. And this all stopped due to one particular event when the supportive friend I spoke about earlier, she told me that she had some family problems and she needed some time and some space to deal with her own stuff before she could listen to my struggles and support me properly. So although that was slightly hard to hear, it was one of the best things that was said to me throughout the whole time. She was being so kind of aware of her own needs and aware that she needed to make sure she was okay before she tried to look after anyone else, that it highlighted to me that it was something I needed to do. I needed to make sure that I was really looking after me, and I wasn't just trying to sort everyone else's problems out and just think I could sort myself out at some later date. So that was when I stopped the constant communication with my best friend. It was incredibly hard, and for the next few months I did have to keep reminding myself why I'd stopped, and that I wasn't letting her down. I was looking after me, which was the most important thing I needed to do. I knew she could always contact me. She had my email, my phone number, my Facebook. There were so many ways she could contact me. I just had to trust that she would when she was ready. I didn't hear from her for a long time, but when I did, she kind of had come so far that she was able to realise how much I had gone through trying to support her, and she apologised for how it must have impacted me, and that was so positive. She had come so far, and it made me feel like looking after myself really was the best thing that I could have done. She still recognises that I was always there for her, but I did manage to sort myself out a bit. My friend with an eating disorder, she's doing so incredibly well. She's at university. She has her ups and downs, but we are in a lot of contact still. We still write letters, and when we're at home in the holidays, we meet up whenever we can to catch up on life, really. It's just a normal friendship with a mental health condition as a side. It doesn't define us, it doesn't define our relationship in any way. We are the closest we've ever been now. Our friendship's just grown through the whole process, so never feel like by having a friend with a mental health condition that you're losing anything. You're not at all. Your friendship can grow, it can change as much as any other friendship with any other person. So yeah, I guess I just want to reinforce the fact it's not all doom and gloom. I've got the closest friends out of multiple different friendships with people with mental health conditions, and it's inspired me to get involved with Student Minds, which has been one of the best parts of my university life.